KOF is a beloved franchise and an iconic name in the fighting game world. But like any long-running series, it's not without its flaws. While there is plenty to love, there are also moments that leave us scratching our heads or feeling disappointed. In this video, I'll be sharing what I believe is the single best and worst thing in each mainline KOF game. Keep in mind, this is a very subjective list, and while some points may apply to multiple games, I've made sure to highlight unique aspects for each one. Without further ado, here are the best and worst thing about every KOF game. KOF 94 marked the beginning of a legacy, a dream match that brought together SNK's most iconic characters. What truly set it apart though was the introduction of the revolutionary 3 vs 3 match system. For many players like me who were used to the traditional 1 vs 1 format in fighting games, this was a game changer. The idea that you could select a team of 3 distinct characters, each with their own unique moves and fighting styles, was something I had never experienced before. It added an exciting layer of strategy that separated KOF from its competition. The worst thing about KOF 94, that would undoubtedly be Rugal Bernstein, the game's brutal final boss. He was the epitome of the infamous SNK boss syndrome. Rugal gave you a false sense of control in the first round, only to unleash his full broken powers in the second. This sudden spike in difficulty made it feel almost impossible to beat him on the first try, or even the 10th. It was just too much for a final boss, leaving many players frustrated and ready to pull their hair out. KOF 95 brought one of the most exciting changes to the series, the ability to customize your team. Unlike its predecessor, which locked you into predefined teams, 95 let you choose your favorite characters and compose your own team. While it may seem standard today, this was a groundbreaking feature back then, and easily the best thing about the game. It added a new level of personalization and strategy that fans loved. However, if only the damage output had been toned down. In KOF 95, every attack, especially when your super gauge was full, dealt an absurd amount of damage. Supers could wipe out 50, 60 or even 70% of your life bar, turning matches into blink and you miss it affairs. Fights often ended moments after they started, making the overpowered damage system the game's biggest flaw. KOF 96 introduced a lot of changes, but what truly stands out is the incredible soundtrack. Many of the series' most iconic and unforgettable themes made their debut here, and that's saying something considering the OST in the previous games were already fantastic. But the music in 96 was on a whole new level, cementing its place in KOF history as one of the most memorable soundtracks. On the downside, KOF 96 struggled with some gameplay imbalances. While they did tone down the overpowering fireballs from 95, they went too far in the other direction with the CD attacks. These became ridiculously strong, and certain characters, like MacLeod, ended up feeling completely broken. This imbalance dampened the otherwise excellent gameplay experience. KOF 97 is often considered the darkest game in the series, and its greatest strength lies in its secret canonical ending. The moment when Kyo, Aurea and Chizuru unite to defeat Orochi stands as one of the most exhilarating finales in any fighting game. The fact that it's a hidden ending, combined with the dramatic setting, plot twist, and epic music, made it a defining moment, not only for KOF 97, but for the entire series. However, while music played a pivotal role in that iconic ending, it was largely absent throughout most of the game. 97 took a strange turn by omitting team themes in favor of ambient stage sounds. Unfortunately, these were forgettable and a huge letdown, especially after the breathtaking soundtrack of 96. This lack of music in the majority of matches left the overall audio experience feeling hollow. KOF 98 is widely regarded as one of the best entries in the series, and it holds a special place in the heart of not just KOF fans, but fighting game fans as a whole. A standout feature? The timeless gameplay, which was perfected to near flawlessness. It's incredible how, even after more than 25 years, KOF 98 remains so much fun to play, offering a balanced and engaging experience that continues to captivate players across generations. However, since KOF 98 is a Dream Match installment, it doesn't include any story elements or expand the series lore. This means there is little incentive to play the game in single-player mode. Apart from unlocking some artwork, you won't gain much from finishing the game with canonical or secret teams, leaving the single-player experience feeling somewhat empty compared to other entries in the series. While some may argue that the change in tone, new characters, or the beautiful stages are the best aspects of KOF 99, what remains most vivid in my memory is K-Dash's team and their theme, KD0079. This track stands out as a highlight in the series' OST, perfectly capturing the atmosphere of the new saga that was just beginning. It set the tone for KOF 99 and left a lasting impression. On the flip side, SNK made a bizarre change to the backroll mechanic in this game. Instead of the usual quick backroll to escape danger, characters in KOF 99 awkwardly take a step back and then step forward again. It's clunky and goes against everything players had come to expect from KOF's movement system. Thankfully, this strange feature was never used in future games. Seriously, what were they thinking? Without a doubt, KOF 2000's most defining feature is the inclusion of alternative strikers for each character. SNK went all out, not only implementing characters from previous KOF games, but also bringing back long-forgotten and obscure figures from their larger repertoire. Some of these strikers are even hidden, requiring specific commands to unlock them. I made an entire video breaking down who these alternative strikers are and what they could represent for the characters they're associated with. As for flaws, there aren't many in this game. If I had to point out one, it would be that some stages feel a bit bland compared to others. It gives the impression that the developers didn't have enough time to fully polish each stage, leaving a few of them looking unfinished or uninspired compared to the rest. K49's inclusion is what truly defines KOF 2001. This edgy, rage-fueled character quickly became a fan favorite in the arcades where I grew up, while he's an obvious homage to Tetsuo Shima from Akira that didn't take away from his charm and appeal. His design and attitude made him a standout character, leaving a lasting impression on many players. On the downside, KOF 2001 suffers from a significant drop in character art quality. Many characters look downright ugly, especially when compared to the stunning designs from KOF 2000. While I know some players actually like this style and see beauty in it, I personally can't get past how unappealing the character art is in this game. KOF 2002, the second Dream Match installment, is often regarded as one of the best entries in the series, much like KOF 98. What really sets it apart for me is the return to the classic 3 vs 3 gameplay, dropping the striker feature that defined the Nest saga. While there was nothing inherently wrong with the striker system, seeing the series return to its roots with tight and refined gameplay was incredibly satisfying. It's no surprise that many consider it the second KOF 98. However, 2002 committed a major sin by omitting King, a character who had always been an integral part of the series. For no apparent reason, she was left out, and it was a glaring absence. Thankfully, this mistake was corrected in the superior remake KOF 2002 UM, but still, how dare they? Speaking of which, KOF 2002 Unlimited Match has earned its place as the top KOF game for many fans, and for good reasons. Its biggest selling point? It boasts the largest roster in the series to date. No matter your playstyle, you're bound to find characters that perfectly match your preferences. Additionally, every character plays phenomenally, with their presence in KOF 2002 UM being the best version of themselves. However, the game isn't without flaws. What bothers me the most is the dominance of 3 top-tier characters, K-Dash, Kasumi, and Nameless. The game made them so powerful that they'd become the go-to team for most players online. While they aren't the easiest characters to master, especially Nameless, it gets tiring seeing them everywhere in online matches. The most original and standout feature of KOF 2003 is its branching path system, which leads to 2 different final bosses. This is determined by how you defeat the mid-boss Kusanagi. It was also the first game in the series to introduce the tag system, which would later be perfected in its sequel. But for me, the existence of 2 different final bosses is the strongest element of this game. Its most underwhelming aspects, however, it's how it handled the hit effect. Something about landing hits in this game just feels off. Whether it's the visuals or sound effects or both, it makes every strike feel weak and unsatisfying, as if all the characters are made of sponge or something. It really takes away from the impact that KOF is known for. KOF 11 brought back many characters from SNK's forgotten roster, with several acting as mid-bosses, but what I appreciate most is how it handled the teams. SNK took a bold approach by rearranging most team compositions, giving the game a fresh feel. They even went as far as omitting staple characters like Leona, Andy and Joe, and even Robert and Mine in the arcade version, all in the name of shaking up the formula. It may not have pleased all the fans, but I respect and appreciate their courage and willingness to try something new. The downside, or rather the saddest part of KOF 11, is its exclusivity to the PlayStation 2 and arcades. You can't play it on any other platform, and there is no way to experience online matches. It's a real shame, considering how fun and original KOF 11 was, and still is. You might be forgiven for completely forgetting about KOF 12, as most fans, including myself, tend to act like it never happened. However, credit where it's due, KOF 12 is absolutely stunning from a graphical standpoint. It was the first game in the series to introduce beautiful HD sprites, which were further enhanced in the following installments. Unfortunately, KOF 12 did more wrong than right. The worst aspect is the laughable content it offers. There are no endings, no 3 vs 3 matches, and a significant number of iconic characters are missing. I could go on and on about how ridiculously bare bones this game feels. In many ways, KOF 12 is just a glorified demo for KOF 13. Since I've already highlighted the stunning HD sprites, let's focus on the second best thing in KOF 13, the inclusion of Mr. Karate. You might not have expected it, but for me, this is a significant addition. It was about time this iconic figure from the SNK roster finally made his way into KOF, even if he was added as a DLC. He's an incredibly fun character to play, and is considered one of the top tiers of the game. On the flip side, the roster is easily KOF 13's biggest problem. While the single-player content is more decent, the character roster is lacking and misses several fan favorites. Even key characters from the Tales of Ash saga, like Adelheid, are absent as playable options. Unfortunately, this is the price we pay for these super detailed HD sprites. They cost too much to produce. With 58 characters in total, KOF 14 boasts the second largest roster in the series after KOF 2002 UM. Unlike 02 UM though, 14 introduced a lot of original new faces. While not all of them were instant fan favorites, a few managed to gain solid popularity. The game strikes a balance between preserving legacy characters and bringing fresh ones into the mix. The most common criticism of KOF 14 is undoubtedly its dated graphics. While there is definitely truth to that, I personally never found the visuals to be a major issue. What really annoyed me though was the introduction of auto combos. Suddenly, anyone could trap you in a combo ending with a level 3 super just by mashing the A button. It gets even worse when you accidentally trigger an auto combo yourself when you just wanted to do a double standing A, and the icing on the cake, there is no option to disable it. Easily one of the worst ideas ever brought into KOF. KOF 15 marked the return of many fan-favorite characters, including Shizuru, the Orochi team, Ash, Rugal, Genets, and more. It felt like a dream come true. Seeing these iconic characters rendered in glorious 3D, paired with the game's super tight and fun gameplay, was exactly what KOF fans had been asking for. Some of these characters can even be fought in a special boss challenge mode, letting players relive the pain and frustration of battling old-school SNK bosses. However, the return of these iconic characters adds practically nothing to the lore. I was really disappointed to see that they were brought back purely for cheap fanservice. The DLC characters, like Rugal and Genets, don't even have any story elements. It's a massive letdown to see that matches like Rugal vs Hydern or Leona vs Genets don't have special intros or even callbacks to their shared history. What a missed opportunity. Here's hope that future updates or the next installment will dive deeper into the lore and give these iconic matchups the spotlight they deserve. This is probably the most subjective video I've made so far, which is why I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on the best and worst things in each KOF game. I'd like to know your opinions in the comments below. Special thanks to my patrons for their support. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and why not consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.